Is she? Did you put her away?
She's in the garage. Hopefully she'll stay there.
The garage. That's fucked up, man. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name is Ben Steger. We're here to answer your shooting questions today. Grandmaster Nick.
Hey, guys.
Grandmaster Matt.
Hi.
We're here to talk about shooting, guys. IPSC Nationals is the topic of conversation. We've got a lot of questions. People want to know our thoughts on the match, and for people who haven't shot IPSC or that rule set, I'm sure they're a little curious as to what that was like. Nick, this was your first IPSC match, yeah?
Yes, it was.
Did it meet your expectations?
Yes, it did. It was pretty much exactly what I expected. And
which was what?
A technical match with no walkthroughs and more short stages than the average USPSA match.
But I mean, so you were thinking tougher shots, not a lot of hosing.
Yep.
I suppose, and a lot of stages with lower round count.
Yes.
So that's the translation.
Yeah. So I watched basically a bunch of World Shoot videos from the last couple of World Shoots, and that's what drove my IPSC match expectations, and I would say they were met for the most part at this match.
Did you like it?
It was definitely a change of pace. Overall, I enjoyed the experience. So far,
it was hard and it was frustrating, right?
Yeah. Certainly was frustrating. I didn't shoot my best. I don't think any of us did.
Hopkins did.
To say the least. Hopkins had a pretty he had a pretty good match overall, right?
Hopkins had a good match.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, I had some stumbles.
I think it was maybe one or two, I guess.
Yeah, but other than that, I shot actually a clean match. No penalties.
But the rest of it's like
happy about that.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes Hopkins, you got to say what the fuck and just go for it, right?
I guess.
Yeah. It's like me. I'll tell you. So me and Ben and a lot of other people in our squad just tanked at multiple stages, at least one stage. Just were obliterated by that stages. Okay, I know Ben zeroed one. I think I opened the match shooting at probably 50% on about 3 little short courses in a row, and then it got destroyed by another stage toward the end of the day. So it was pretty brutal. And I don't have any problem with technical shots. So I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it or think the match stage design needs to change. It kind of points to potentially a weakness in my game, and I got no problem with that. So
which is the shooting part,
right? I guess at this point, yeah. I came out of the gate just not seeing any sights. I don't know why, but it wasn't pretty there for a little while.
It's pretty easy to go to a USPSA match with like a bunch of 7 and 10 yard targets, and it's like, and they got a 15-yard popper. That's the toughest shot on this stage. You can like run through that like, bah, just have at it. Anybody can be a hero on that shit.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. Different shooting style overall, different flavor. So.
Okay. Yes. Now let's talk about the rules. So this was fresh for you. This was your first time with the no walkthroughs, essentially.
Yes. Right.
But that's not really true. We kind of observe from behind. You can walk around on the range, but not on the base. So you can kind of get a sense for where things are. And then once you get on the stage, you get 3 to 5 minutes in the shooting area, right?
Yes.
So was that different than? Or I mean, how did that play out? I mean, you knew what the time limit was going to be, but was it as bad or as good, or what were you expecting with that?
It was, once again, I'd say it basically, my expectations were essentially met. So, seeing, it's crucial. What I found then is really, I probably spent more time looking at the stage diagrams at this match than I do at USPSA matches. And then I really want to make sure, for me, what I was looking for is the round count correct. So I'm looking at all the stuff. I want to be able to find all the targets from the back of the bay, and then identify as many available angles from what positions as I can from the back of the bay, and while watching other people shoot. So my thought process was, by the time I walk up for the actual walkthrough, I want to have maybe 2 or 3 targets where I need to identify what angles look good and where I want to shoot them from, and hopefully that's it. And it proved to be that way for the most part, I'd say, yeah.
Did you competitively find that it mattered, like where you were in the shooting order and that sort of stuff?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think there were two stages where I changed my initial plan. The plan I had walking up prior to the walkthrough, or even during the walkthrough, based on what I saw people in front of me do on that stage.
Yeah.
So
It kind of there's kind of an element of luck to it, where you are in the shooting order starts to really matter. Hopkins and I both went first on big field courses, which sucks. That's not a lot of fun. It's like you got 3 minutes on the stage, and then it's like it's go time.
Dude, it's not 3 minutes on the stage. It's 3 minutes with 10 dudes on the stage in like a fucking 20 square foot area, and you're fucked. I should have fucking
Yeah, you are.
my bags out and said, I'm not ready. Should have been like, fuck this, I'm done. I'm not shooting yet.
Yeah.
yeah, so Hopkins
like,
get
I
worked
learned a
up
lot
on
from that. Like, I would approach it differently. Like, I would walk maybe one time and spend the rest of the time visualizing it, then trying to walk it 3 or 4 times, and it just fucked me over, really.
Yeah, I mean it.
And I would take about a 2 minute to make ready on that stage.
Yeah, on the big field course, I had to go. When I had to go first, I put on my plugs and the muffs as soon as the walkthrough started, and I didn't talk to anybody really. I just it was already like, this is my walkthrough. I shoot, and I'm not.
You're really on the clock at that point. I mean, you're first up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's a big deal. It really matters. And then for the short technical speed shoots, if you have to go first on one of those, if there's like a moving target or something and we don't know the timing, like we could watch other people shoot a stage that aren't on our squad, but they might not be high enough level where what we watch them do means shit to us, so we can't tell the timing. They might be shooting open, we can't tell the timing. So different power factor. So we can't really tell what it's going to be like until somebody on our squad goes on those stages, right? And you don't want to be the guy that goes first on a stage with like 2 movers or something where they're really tight and we don't know the timing. So it ends up being you want to go first on a stage with no moving targets and no running around, ideally. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the stages where I changed my plan, was one of those short stages with multiple movers, based on watching people in front of me in the shooting order and nothing else,
Okay. So Nick, so you enjoyed it. It was a very different flavor than USPSA Nationals, so right? Both in terms of the environment. I mean both the atmosphere of the competitors. I mean that, and I mean like kind of the stages. It didn't have the feeling of USPSA Nationals there.
No, not really. It'd be it's kind of hard to identify, I guess, what the difference in atmosphere is. I mean, it's
like at a USPSA Nationals, like every motherfucker goes, like random people from all over the country come.
Yeah.
This seemed more like for people who are interested in going to the World Shoot.
Yeah.
More or less exclusively. So
that's true. That's a good point. But I'd say, well, there was probably, obviously a lot less people per division here. The talent level's still, pretty high. You got a lot of good shooters there. So it's kind of that way, like you said, it's less shooters, but it's got more, higher average talent level concentration, I guess.
Yeah.
You got a little more international flavor to it. Obviously, we had a bunch of ROs from foreign countries, which just
one of the things I noticed was it was more like people were there as like a way of meeting people that they don't see as often, And I didn't really get that at the USPSA Nationals. Like, you'd see people from other countries, like, going up and talking to each other like they haven't talked to each other for a year or so. And stuff like that.
You're just there to see your friends, man.
Well, That's that's one of the things I took from it.
There's one thing that the match did differently than other matches, and I want to get your guys' take on it. So the scoring was electronic, where obviously the RO would enter it all on a palm or on a tablet, and then they would write down the paper backup. But the scoring RO followed the squad constantly, so that they kept track of the shooting order. The guy in our squad was in charge of videoing the squad. They did all that stuff. Yeah. What did you think of that sort of system, Nick?
So I'm not. I think I've been at other matches that have had that. I don't know that that's
like one RO goes with your squad and all the other ROs stay put.
Yeah, I've had that before too.
I've had that before. So I don't know that it was unique, but I do like it. I mean, it's nice to have somebody there who can, if something comes up, can help you with match administration, whatever the case may be. That's keeping track of shooting order and all that. So yeah, I like that. If a match has, the spare staff to make that happen, I appreciate it for sure.
And I assume you like that too, Matt.
Yeah, I liked it. I've seen it done before in
not at that big of a match though.
At a state level match.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the same amount of ROs if you just put them on each bay, but you get a personal relationship built with them, and from our guy at least. I don't know. It could have been different for other squads.
Ours is cool, so maybe that had something to do with it. Their ticket may be different. I don't know.
I really liked it. I ended up really liking the traveling RO thing. I thought that was cool.
You know what? They could do it for a bigger match if they put 2 ROs on a stage and then 1 per squad. That'd be 3 ROs per stage. It's not any more than they normally have. And then you could have 1 RO do the timer. The traveling RO be the verify score guy, and the other one can just score. I think it'd work out pretty good on the Nationals level also.
Yeah, probably so. Hey, Tim Myers wants to listen in, guys. Should I let him, or should we put him on lockdown?
Lockdown, dude.
Okay. All right. Good.
Can you mute him? Can you add him in but not let him hear anything?
Not let him hear anything? I'd have to mute all of us.
Oh, that wouldn't work.
I can mute him so he won't talk, but he's not going to talk anyway.
Just tell him lockdown.
All right, lockdown. All right. So after this match, I teed up a thread on Facebook where I posted video of one of the shorter stages from the match, and this is common at sort of higher level IPSC matches where you're going to have a stage that's 9 rounds or 12 rounds, but it's going to have a lot of different options on it, and it's probably going to have moving targets on it. And I posted a video of a stage that was you had to shoot around both sides of a wall, and it was pretty tough lean, so you'd probably end up shooting one-handed around the wall, so hanging onto the wall, shooting around it one-handed, and there was 2 targets on a swinger around there that most people ended up shooting one-handed. So it was an interesting stage, a few different ways to shoot it, and I posted video of that stage and hey, we need more of this in USPSA, and that got a conversation going. It seems logical to include that in the podcast. So Nick, you shot. It was an 18-stage IPSC Nationals match. I'm thinking there was 6 or 7 short courses like I just described, where there'd be some choices, like a real different way to do it. Maybe it'd force you into an awkward position. There'd be moving targets that you'd have some choice how to address those. Yeah, that captures the flavor of those stages, right?
Yeah.
More or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do you agree with me that we could use more of those in USPSA matches, or no?
Yeah, I found them to be entertaining for the most part. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. When you look at short courses, I guess, in USPSA and compare them to kind of what we shot in Florida there, I guess I would say kind of the standard USPSA short course, it would, I guess, kind of lacks a little bit of imagination compared to most of the ones that we shot this past weekend.
I think when USPSA shooters think of short course, they think classifier. They're like, okay, you're going to squirt these 3 targets, mandatory reload, squirt these 3 targets.
Yeah.
Something like that. When they think short course, that's what's in their brain.
Yeah, and that's pretty much. I'd say that's the case more often than not. USPSA.
Right, in USPSA. But I think there was one stage, the stage we finished on, I was commenting, there's no fucking way that they're going to include this in a USPSA match. It was a barricade, and it was 9 rounds of shooting, and they had steel hardcover out, so
Steel no shoots.
Steel
no shoots, so they drug all this heavy shit out there. They had metal targets, half covered by some steel as well, something like that. So there was a lot of stuff downrange just for 9 rounds, and if you wanted to shoot some risky shots, you could go from one side of the barricade. If you wanted to make the shots a little bit easier, you could go around one side of the barricade and then transition to the other side of the barricade and shoot. So I think we had, there was plenty of strategy discussion on that stage, just this little pissy 9-round stage from a barricade. There's plenty of strategy discussion, and it was a very interesting stage, but it was only 9 rounds. And I would say you're not going to see this in a USPSA match, more than likely. You agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with that.
But you
really good. Like if you wanted to push the envelope, you could shoot around one side, but you'd have less of the targets available.
Right, and you'd save the transition time, but take a little bit of a risk.
I like that in that aspect. The shots were hard enough that it was pretty good risk too.
Yeah. So I thought all the stages, all the short courses there had some sort of choice.
Yeah,
you know?
I was about to say, what short course did we not sit around arguing about the best stage plan for a significant amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. There's like, even a short stage can be super interesting, and then they had some stages where it'd be, I mean, I don't want to say the match had no hosing, because that's not true. They tested everything. IPSC Nationals tests all your skills. I think we had a stage, there was 20 rounds, all on pretty much wide open paper targets.
Yeah.
And you shoot on the move a little bit, and nothing was real far away. So it was a little bit of hosing, some faster shooting. But I don't think we had a real involved strategy discussion about that, even though there was multiple positions and 10 different targets to shoot at. There just wasn't that much to talk about. It wasn't as interesting of a stage as some of the more technical short stages. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting one was the 4 per target one with the clamshell on it. Like a lot of people were talking about that one, and I think a lot of people would change their plan after they saw it shot or they shot it.
Well,
that's one where I changed my plan based on being later in the order, seeing it shot both ways.
Yeah.
That was I'll describe the stage for people for most people who weren't at the match. There's it's best 4 per target. There's 2 targets, maybe 15-ish yards away, something like that. The kind of mid-range stuff.
They're more than that.
Okay, a little more than that. Sorry.
18 yards.
18 yards. I didn't pace it off, guys. Anyway, so 1 target just is kind of hanging out there.
With the no shoot on the bottom of it.
Yeah, there's a no shoot, but that shouldn't be an issue for us, right?
Oh yeah, it's only covering the bottom quarter.
We're not going to worry about that. And then the other one, you step on the activator pad, and it's a clamshell, so the no shoot goes out of the way, and then closes back up. And it's a disappearing target, so you didn't even have to shoot at it if you didn't want. So it seemed risky to people to shoot at it, and you could just draw and step on the pad and then shoot the non-disappearing target. You could just shoot that if you wanted. So there was a lot of ways to do this, and it was interesting watching people shoot it where the squad decided the safe plan was, well, we're just going to draw, step on the pad, and shoot the 1 target we have to shoot. And then one guy went for the disappearing target and hit the no-shoot, and that didn't work out too well for him. So then another guy who was planning on shooting at the disappearing target changed his mind, and then another guy went up there and smashed it, shooting at both targets, and it worked out. And then Nick, you changed your plan.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like, just in the space of like 10 people, there's all this debate going on, like, how are we going to do this, and this and that, and people keep changing their minds. It ended up being interesting and exciting, just for an 8-round stage.
With 2 targets on it.
Yeah.
With
Exactly.
8-round stage with 2 targets, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there, like I said, there's several like that. Several stages. We've already discussed 2 of them.
Yes.
Where you're
So
talking about plans.
we could do with some more of those in USPSA. Yeah.
wouldn't hurt my feelings. It really kind of points out that you have to have a higher, I would say, a higher level of understanding of what your capabilities are and how the hit factor relates to the timing of all these movers and everything. I mean, there's more thought involved for those stages than almost any stage in the USPSA.
And also, think about this: as a stage designer or as a match director, you have to have a really good understanding of not only have some ideas for a stage that'd be interesting, but know how to tailor the difficulty right on the targets so that it ends up being interesting choices and it doesn't just be everybody's going to go one way. But you have people, it's kind of like you get it right on the bubble, if that makes sense, where the options are interesting. You know, where people look at it, they're not quite sure which way they want to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty tough to do that. Like,
it's very tough.
That's going to be the challenge.
Well, that's what's interesting about going to Universal is they've got high-level dudes working on that range who know what's up, and they can kind of influence the design of the stages.
Yeah. I think that a lot of that has to do with Shannon, though.
Yeah, Shannon knows what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we could. The point I was making is we could use some more of those stages in USPSA.
My personal opinion is I think we need more medium courses, like the 18 to 24 round stages. I thought those were some of the better stages.
Yeah. Did either of you guys really give a shit about the long courses?
No, they were pretty simple compared to the others. They were 32 rounds or 30 rounds or whatever. But all the medium courses were considered field courses also. Like the stage with the slider on it, that's a medium course. You wouldn't think that it is, right? You'd think it's a big field course.
So it was 12 rounds, yeah?
I call it medium.
Was it?
12.
Yeah, it's 12 rounds. That was a
that's
short
another
stage.
one where we're having a discussion
Okay, that's
about
a short
the plan.
stage.
How many? I don't. Really, the long courses they had there at least didn't really have a whole lot of options in terms of stage plan. It's pretty straightforward on stage plan.
And to be honest with you, I think it would be really fucking gay to have more options than what they had, because you have 3 minutes or something to go through and memorize a 32-round stage. Don't be hiding targets and shit like that. Just let's do it. Make it kind of a straight-up stage where it's pretty clear where everything's at, so people can go through there and make a plan. That'd be what I'd want to see. Any other comments on stage design, Hopkins, from that match? Because that's the stuff people are really interested in.
I don't know. It's going to take people to experience the stages like that before they start designing them that way, I think. So I don't know how we're going to get match directors to turn over to do that. That's going to be the problem. I'm looking actually pretty forward to the Limited and L10 Nationals this year, because Shannon's probably going to be doing the stages, I hope. And that'll give a lot of people the experience of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of that IPSC flavor will rub off on USPSA there.
That's good. I got, I'll leave it alone.
Why?
I'm sure you agree with Hopkins. You're not going to go shoot L10 minor like he is, are you?
I'm trying to find a 40. I'm going to do a major.
Oh, major.
L10 major. No, I'm not going to that match, unfortunately.
All right. Well, maybe some of that stuff will rub off. On match directors and stuff around the country.
I think that'd be great.
Cool.
Yeah, I can say I don't think I've ever shot really a short course, at least this year, that was as interesting as several of the ones I had at IPSC.
Yeah.
It was cool.
All right, guys, let's do a shooting question. Here it is. If a match sends out a stage preview, either by email or making stage diagrams and instructions available on the web prior to match day, do you and the other GMs think they should have to stick to the stages shown in the preview? I could understand an exception being made in an exigent circumstance such as a prop failure, but if it's something that's within their control, should they stick with the preview? I was at a match this weekend. One of the stages in the preview clearly stated the start position was gun loaded and holstered. Stage that the match deviated had the start position with an unloaded gun and mags staged on barrels throughout the stage. Something like this worth mentioning to the match director, or no?
No.
No. Nick, I assume no.
Nah, not really. I mean, especially in USPSA where it's you can get a walkthrough and you can see everything beforehand.
Yeah, the only problem I can like the reason this guy's mad is because maybe he practiced an unloaded start or something.
And they didn't
Like,
use it?
yeah, that's the only reason I can see being mad about it. I mean,
Yeah.
but why would he be mad? It's just another skill he has. It'll be used later.
Well, I think the fact is, I don't think any of us have expectations of when you go to a USPSA match that the stages are going to look anything like the diagrams. Like, I have no expectation of that. Like, the round count will probably be the same,
Yeah.
and the start position will probably be the same, and the stage might have the same general shape, but I don't expect it's going to look anything like the diagram.
Yeah, it's nice if they keep the round count start position the same. I mean, and this guy's saying they changed the start position. Well, okay. I mean,
Well,
is it something I'm going to complain to the match director about? No.
Well, let's say that I, as a match director for my club, I pull 6 stages that I want to do. I got the classifier, got a couple short courses like we're talking about because I want people to experience that badass stuff. And then I pull a few field courses or whatever, and post those stages. And 3 of the stages end up being like unloaded table starts, and I just I didn't notice that, but. There's nothing wrong with an unloaded table start, but from a match balance perspective, it's kind of lame to have half your starts in the match be unloaded table starts. So as I'm putting the match on the ground, I'm like building the stages. I'm like, oh shit, I got 3 unloaded starts here. Like, I don't want that. So just cross that shit off the stage diagram and change it, right?
Yeah, it could be the table start sectional.
Yeah, the table start section. Right. So, I personally don't think it matters if they match up to what you think is coming for the diagrams. And there's a lot of matches that we'll look at the diagrams for, and I'm like, man, I hope it doesn't look like this diagram because this looks way too simple. This is kind of stupid, and it ends up not being like that.
But the only 2 things I even really look at on USPSA stage diagrams are start position, and that's about it. Round count.
I've actually given up on looking at that.
Yeah.
You don't even do it anymore.
No, I don't. Tim usually sends me that stuff anyway.
Oh, that's Myers, right?
Yeah, Tim Myers. Yeah.
Yeah, send you the diagram. Tell me how to shoot these stages.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
You idiot. Like, you can't tell anything from the diagrams. All right.
Send him stage plans ahead of time, and he'll probably execute it.
I actually at my very first major match, it was an IDPA match, and we're sitting there during the shooters meeting, and everybody had the match book printed. They were given a printed copy of the match book, and this guy was going through his book like making marks on the diagrams. I kind of look over there, and he looks at me. He's like, I'm figuring out where the reloads are. Like just going.
Before he got on the stage.
What?
Before he looked at the stage?
Just off the diagram.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, man, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, I didn't know a whole lot, but I knew what he was doing probably wasn't too helpful.
Yeah, I think I did that in my first match also.
Like, I'll reload here. I'm going to make a plan. I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think I did that once.
All right, guys. Anything else to say on any of these topics? Because I thought we had a nice, wonderful, laid-back podcast.
I thought it was fun.
Discussing many things that were nice.
Let me take this one more question. I'll pose to you guys.
Okay, yeah.
I was overall, on the whole, not a fan of the no walkthrough rule in IPSC based on one match.
Fucking hate that rule, and that's not what the rule is, by the way. It's a little complicated, but.
Well, do you want to go into it real quick? I mean,
yeah,
I have an opinion also on it.
To the best of my knowledge, the rule is exactly the same for IPSC as it is in USPSA, which is you're not allowed to walk on the stages without the RO's permission. In USPSA, our culture is that we kind of assume you have permission if they're not using the stage. So if you roll up to a major match the day before you shoot, and there's, it's a 10-stage match, there's 6 squads kind of working through there on RO day, it is our assumption that you're able to walk on the stages and inspect them. That's fine. Customarily, if there's an RO sitting on a stage that's empty, we'll walk up there and say, hey, do you mind if we look at the stage? And they'll say, no problem. And you walk up there and look. As soon as the squad comes around the corner of the bay to get their walkthrough and shoot the stage, you get the hell out of there. And that's the way it works. Yeah, that's more or less correct, right, guys? For USPSA?
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
In IPSC, they have the same rule written in the rule book. But as a custom, they do not allow people to look at the stages beforehand. This was not the case when I shot a major in Canada this year. They did not give a shit. Like, you can walk up and look at the stages, no problem. I think that's probably due to a lot of USPSA influence. Nick, I would say that I absolutely hate the 3-minute walkthrough thing. I think it makes the match less fair, not more, for all the reasons that we talked about, where it's like, oh, it's kind of luck of the draw on this and that, where instead it could just be, well, just, show up whenever you want and look at the stages and, come up with your plan and you do what you want to do. I think having that restriction makes the match less fair, not more. The reason that restriction is in place, I think, is due for its match flow. They're like, oh, 3-minute walkthrough, we're going to make the match run smoother or something. That's why they do it.
Yeah, well, I don't really care about the 3 or 5 minutes. It's the not being able to walk the stage at any point the day before.
Yeah.
So I was just curious if people with more IPSC experience had somehow decided that was a good idea or something. But I was not a fan of it.
No, it's a retarded idea.
Okay.
The problem I have is if you're first up on a memory stage or a stage where there's multiple targets, multiple ways to shoot it, you're not going to know the ideal way to do it. And the first person up is at a severe disadvantage than the last person up.
Yeah.
And if everybody had the chance to get there the day before and walk the stages, it would not be an issue at all. And the only reason I can see them that they're saying it'll cut down on travel costs, because you are not required to be there the first day of a match like you are pretty much on the USPSA.
Yeah. My travel costs are exactly the same.
Travel costs are the same.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you could work.
Yeah, unless the match is in your backyard, you're going to be there the day before anyway, right?
Yeah,
you're
pretty much.
Not walking stages versus walking stages.
That's the only reason I can think of that they would say that.
Well, I actually disagree. I think it probably would lead to increased travel costs, if anything.
Why?
Because you want to get there and see the stages being shot, because then you can see people move through them. Right, so for a USPSA match, the ideal time to show up, I think, is like an hour before the squads finish.
Yeah.
Right, because then you can walk through, and if there's any interesting movers, you get to see those being shot at, and then all the squads clear off, and then you can walk on anything you want. All right, so that's the best time to show up. For IPSC matches, you probably want to show up sooner than that, because the only hints you have about what's going on the stages, you have to see people shooting at them to know the positions of the targets and everything like that. So you'd show up way earlier in the day.
Yeah, and I was that's one thing I took away from my pre-match walkthrough here is that I didn't get to see people shoot the stages, and that would have been very beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. So you would have more travel cost, right, Nick? Or the same for you, but
you still would have showed up the day before, so it wouldn't have cost you different.
Right. Costs are insane. It's just going to be how early in the day I might get to be there and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the rule. I mean, my sense of it in IPSC, just the culture of people who shoot a lot of IPSC, especially overseas, is like that's the way it is. That's the world they live in, and it's not even. I mean, they're kind of past the point of just being like, "Hey, this is retarded." Like that's not.
They're just used to it.
Yeah, it's just like this is just the way it is. Yeah. I don't anticipate that rule changing anytime soon in IPSC. I'll tell you that.
Not till the current leadership is gone.
Which will be the 14th of never.
Just saying.
They got it locked down like FIFA, man. It's like it's not changing. All right. Well, thank you guys both so much for coming on. Matt, you got a class coming up? Wait, what dates is that?
26, 27.
That's fucked by the time this airs.
All right.
That'll be done. And you'll have a great class. That was
Yes.
actually overbooked. You had to turn people away.
Yeah.
And if you want to
So
hear how
go to the
awesome it
website.
was, go to hopkinsshooting.com and email Matt and ask him how great his class was.
There you go.
Nick, you're just on Facebook, so that's fine. If you have a shooting question you'd like to send to me, head over to bensteger.com. Email that to me, and we'll talk about it on the show.